Hello everyone. In this video, we are talking about the top 10 machinery manufacturing ERP systems in 2025. So let's dive right in. My name is Sam Gupta. I am principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent, vendor agnostic technology advisory firm. We help our clients with digital transformation strategy, technology selection, as well as change management. On that note, let's go back to today's topic. Again, that is the machinery manufacturing ERP systems for this year. So for the most part, when you look at the machinery manufacturing ERP systems, a lot of manufacturing ERP systems might claim that they are going to be fit for machinery manufacturing, but in general, the machinery manufacturing is very unique. Some smaller systems argue that they are going to have very unique processes, but then they are not going to have as deep inventory, financial, accounting centric layers. They might have very deep operational capabilities. They might have CAD integrations, etc. But for the most part, when you look at these advanced capabilities, not every system will support that. So from the machinery manufacturing system perspective, in general, these machines are going to be very complex, very expensive. They are going to be very project driven the way the projects are in general, but then they are also going to have extremely heavy engineering component, and sometimes the engineering could be mixed as well. They are going to have mechanical engineering component. For that, you are going to have very different team, very different tools that you are going to use, and then you are going to have the electrical engineering as well as the calibration component, and that could take forever as well. So from the ERP and business process perspective, you require a lot of different capabilities. For example, overall from the business model complexity perspective, number one, you are going to have machine, and then you have the parts division, which from the business model perspective, it's a very different beast. It is going to have that distribution commerce centric flavor, which is not necessarily relevant to that machine centric division. Then you have the services, rent, which is very unique. A lot of systems cannot support the rental processes. The field service is going to be very unique as well, and that goes very deep in general, the way field services processes are structured. So you have a lot of different components, from the machinery manufacturing perspective that are very unique, and not every system in the market can handle that. Overall, as far as the scope of this list goes, it does capture a lot of different machinery manufacturing business model, and sometimes those business models are going to be extremely unique as well. So not every system on this list is going to be fit for every single business model, and that's why you need to pay attention to my commentary as I touch every single systems, and I'll be touching on whether they are small, large, from the size perspective, and which particular business processes they are going to be most aligned with. Generally, the criteria that we have used for this list is product share, any sort of acquisition strategy aligned with the machinery manufacturing category, product roadmap, community ecosystem, win rate, technology strategy, as well as the investors. So now let's look at the list. Number 10 on our list is Odoo. And Odoo has some penetration in the machinery manufacturing spaces. And for the most part, you are going to find this among very small machinery manufacturers. For the most part, they are industry 4.0 centric companies. And the reason for that is a lot of industry 4.0 companies, they are not only going to have just the mechanical engineering component, they are going to have the electrical engineering component, but they are also going to have very strong software component. So natively, these companies have very deep software capabilities to build their own products. And for the most part, they think that if they can develop this software, they will be able to handle the business processes, as well as the business software side of things as well. So generally, their IT maturity is going to be stronger, even though their IT maturity is not going to be as strong from the business process modeling, business process mapping, the way those things work. So they are not going to be as strong there. That's why Odoo has some penetration in the machinery manufacturing spaces because of its open source nature, because of their claim that it can be customized for any businesses or business processes. But Odoo natively is not necessarily designed for very complex project manufacturing, the kind of project manufacturing that is going to be relevant in the machinery centric spaces where you are looking at the entire P&L, you are looking at the milestones, you are looking at change orders, and it gets very complex if you are going to have multi-entity functionality, the whole multi-entity accounting piece, when you are going to keep your procurement as well as your accounting centralized in the shared services model, while you are keeping the operational state in your operating entities. In those scenarios, Odoo might not be the best fit. In general, it's a very small system, the way it is designed. And again, if your needs are going to be fairly transactional in nature, you are looking at this more from the accounting perspective. In those cases, Odoo could be an okay fit. Overall, looking at Odoo, some of these trends to keep in mind, the kind of apps that you are going to find, they are all going to be pre-integrated. It can be customized. It's going to be much cheaper from the licensing perspective, at least. So that's a huge plus for the smaller companies. Some limitations to keep in mind overall from the Odoo perspective is the whole tendency to over customize, overdevelop Odoo, and generally things fire back when companies do that. So be extremely careful. Try to utilize Odoo for what it is designed for. If you use it for that, then Odoo is a great product in general. So that's number 10. Number 9 on our list is Rootstock. And Rootstock in general is a very strong product for machinery manufacturing, even though it may not have as many installations as of today. But overall, from the capabilities perspective, it was always strong in the project manufacturing, engineer to order manufacturing. It has a lot of processes that even very strong manufacturing systems may not have. So overall, when you look at Rootstock, some of the capabilities that they have developed recently, for example, when you look at this whole one-to-one correlation between your codes to your order to your projects and the way your project lines are going to be represented. For example, let's say if each of the project line that you are going to have, that could be either some sort of service sort of responsibility, or it could be a engineering task, or it could be a manufacturing task, which is generally going to be represented by a job order. If you have those complex scenario where each of the line needs to be correlated with, for example, multiple orders or multiple codes, and that's where the smaller systems generally maintain that one-to-one correlation. And when you get into this whole one-to-one scenarios, a lot of smaller systems are going to struggle. But depending upon how complex your device is, depending upon how complex your machine is, if your machine is going to be very complex, you are building a very multi-million dollar machine. If you are going to have all of that, then generally your processes are going to be very complex. The way you are going to model your projects, the way you are going to be doing parallel processing, it's going to be very complex. For those scenarios, Rootstock does have very strong capabilities. Some of these trends to keep in mind: overall unified Salesforce experience. And for the most part, for the machinery manufacturing space, because these deals are very long standing, they are very expensive machines. So obviously it's not going to be a very easy close. So your pre-sales processes are going to be very thick, and you need to map all of that, as part of your CRM experience. That's where your Salesforce is going to be extremely critical. That integration is going to be extremely critical as well. And that's where Rootstock really shines. Rootstock is also extremely friendly for those WBS centric processes, as well as the technology is very new, which is your cloud native. Now they have AI capabilities flowing through Salesforce ecosystem. So that's a huge plus for Rootstock. So they are going to develop agentic capabilities much faster in general. So those are some of these trends. Some limitations to keep in mind. Overall, the Salesforce data model may have some challenges, even though we have not seen those challenges. Again, the kind of things that Rootstock is able to do as part of their feature pack and the kind of correlations that they have in their data model, it's just mind blowing because it's a very deep ERP system in general. But for the most part, the natively Salesforce was designed for slightly more CRM centric workflows. So it's not as strong for the ERP centric processes. So that's a little con. And do your own research in terms of whether you are going to have any problems because of this issue. If you are going to have any processes that are going to be much more complex or that might not be natively baked with Rootstock, then you might run into issues. And overall, it's not going to be as diverse, even though Rootstock is a very generalized system in general. It has some deep capabilities from the machinery manufacturing perspective as well. But overall, it might not be as diverse as some of the other ERP systems that we have on this list. And again, their number of installations are not as many, even though they might have much larger penetration in the machinery manufacturing space. So if you're looking at this only based on total number of logos, that might not be fair comparison because their total number of logos in the machinery manufacturing space might be much more. So that's number 9. Number 8 on our list is Oracle Cloud ERP. Oracle Cloud ERP in general is a much larger system compared to other smaller systems. For example, Rootstock. Rootstock is a very mid-market centric system, a small centric system. Oracle Cloud ERP is going to have much deeper capabilities. Again, the larger organizations are going to require the global collaboration. The way their accounting is going to be, the multi-entity accounting from the project perspective, all of those deep capabilities are probably not going to be present in the smaller systems, if that is going to be a constraint for you. And in general, when you get into very large sort of devices or machines, some companies, how they operate or how they structure themselves is that they are going to have one entity for one project. If you are going to have that structure, then you would require much deeper multi-entity capabilities in terms of consolidating your procurement, creating that shared service business model. If you are going to have all of that, then Oracle Cloud ERP is going to be a great fit. So some of these trends to keep in mind from the Oracle Cloud ERP perspective, this whole global aspect, global coverage, global consolidation capabilities, diversity of the solution, covering many different business models. So those are going to be some strengths. Some limitations to keep in mind. Overall, you are not going to find as deep last mile capabilities. You will have a lot more third party vendors, as well as the implementation is going to be expensive. You will require a lot more IT maturity to be able to customize all of these processes. And again, it's not as well adopted among the machinery manufacturers because of the complexity of the processes. So that's number 8. Number 7 on our list is Acumatica. And Acumatica is a relatively smaller system for the most part. Acumatica is going to be very similar to Rootstock in terms of size. Rootstock sometimes has much deeper capabilities for slightly more complex machinery manufacturers. Those advanced capabilities might not be part of Acumatica because Acumatica in general is trying to target slightly smaller machines, smaller manufacturers that are going to be concentrated in one geography, one country. Those are the target customers for Acumatica. So some of these trends to keep in mind from the Acumatica perspective is a lot of different business models that are accommodated as part of the same product. For example, let's say if you look at field services, which is going to be a very strong component with the majority of the machinery manufacturers, the whole project manufacturing, the engineer to order manufacturing, make to order, make to stock, all of that is going to be relevant. In some cases, with some machinery manufacturers, we have seen scenarios where they don't want to keep the part number for some of their phantom-centric components. If they are going to be very deep into metal fabrication spaces, if that is the case, then Acumatica may not have all of those capabilities. That's where Acumatica might struggle a little bit. But overall, from the product alignment perspective, if you have the field service processes, mixed mode manufacturing, even though they have the capabilities might not be as deeper as some other products that we have on this list. So that's number 7. Now, number 6 on our list is SAP S/4HANA. And SAP S/4HANA is a very large system. It's going to be comparable to your Oracle Cloud ERP for the most part. Now, SAP S/4HANA is going to have all of those complex project manufacturing processes. The way the product model is designed, it's designed for very complex global organizations, whether you are going to be in that shared service multi-entity, whether you are going to create one entity for each of the project. For all of those scenarios, systems such as your SAP S/4HANA is going to be a great fit. Some other strengths to keep in mind: overall, it's far more proven for very complex global consolidation when they are trying to consolidate a lot of different workloads as part of the same system. If they are going to have the centralized MRP processes to be able to consolidate their demand as well as supply, if those are going to be scenarios, then again, SAP S/4HANA is going to be a great fit. It's also proven for very complex as well as the very heavy transactional workload. And we are looking at Fortune 100, Fortune 500 centric companies. So for those, SAP S/4HANA is going to be a great fit. Overall, some limitations to keep in mind is, as part of the suite, you are not going to get as deep capabilities, the operational capabilities, or the plant-specific capabilities. For that, you may require add-ons, third-party vendors. So that's going to be a limitation, and that's number 6. Number 5 on our list is Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O. Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O is a very similar system as your SAP S/4HANA or Oracle Cloud ERP. For the most part, it does have all of those layers when you are looking at the global consolidation, globally present workloads, as well as when you are going to have regulations, where regulations are going to be different for each of the entities. For those scenarios, Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O is going to be a great fit. But overall, some limitations to keep in mind is that any of the third-party capabilities that you are going to require from the operational perspective will require some sort of add-on. That is going to increase vendor risk. So that's going to be a little risk there, and that's number 5. Number 4 on our list is Dalmia Works or IQMS product. And Dalmia Works was very strong in the complex aerospace-centric manufacturing, and that's why it is also very strong in machinery manufacturer spaces, wherever you are going to have very strong mechanical engineering component. That's where IQMS does really well. It also has several other aspects of the system. For example, it does really well in the plastic-centric spaces. And depending upon how many different components your machine is going to use, if you are going to have a process line or the plastic-centric line, then you would require those capabilities as well. For that, Dalmia Works is probably going to be a great fit. In general, Dalmia Works has very strong alignment with SolidWorks product, and SolidWorks was very well adopted, especially among the mechanical engineering companies. So that's going to be a huge plus for Dalmia Works. Some limitations to keep in mind is the legacy technology, not as scalable for all of those discrete industries, as well as limited ecosystem, as well as consulting base. So those are some of the limitations, and that's number 4. Number 3 on our list is Infor Cloud Suite Industrial Sideline. So when you look at the Infor Cloud Suite Industrial Sideline, it is a smaller product compared to your SAP, Oracle, etc. It's a very SMB product. Again, it's not going to have those global trade processes, global collaboration, global consolidation processes. It may be able to support some countries, but for the most part, it's not designed for very large companies. For the smaller companies, when you look at this more from the operational process perspective, the project manufacturing is going to be there, but project manufacturing may not be as natural for the WBS centric processes. but it does have very tight alignment with the configurator centric processes. So if you are going to have any sort of component such as your metal fabrication, etc., for that, the configurator is very strong the way the configurator processes are designed. The field service component is very strong. But where you are going to run into challenges is, for example, let's say if you are going to have any parts that does not have or that do not have part numbers, and if you need to support all of those phantom processes, then Infor Cloud Suite Industrial is probably going to run into challenges. Keep in mind, sometimes companies, they use parts without part numbers, but sometimes that is because of the broken processes, because that's the way you have always done it. If that's the case, then you might need to review your processes before you decide on a specific product, before calling that as a feature of your business model. But for the most part, Infor Cloud Suite Industrial does require a part number for every single part that you are going to have. Some of the configurable business processes that you are going to have as part of the business model, they don't necessarily require the part number for each of the configuration, because that is going to be part of your configurator process as well. Overall, the field service centric processes, the warranty process, etc., is going to be embedded as part of your project manufacturing sort of processes. So that's going to be a huge plus for the service centric business unit that the majority of the machinery manufacturers are going to have. Some limitation overall, sometimes the technology could feel a little legacy. The ecosystem is not going to be as strong. So those are going to be some of the weaknesses. And that's number 3. Number 2 on our list is Appicore Kinetic. And Appicore Kinetic, if you look at the product is designed for industries where they are going to have a lot more fluid parts. They might not have as mature process. Overall, when I look at the maturity of the processes, if they might have a lot of parts that cannot have part numbers, if you are going to have those processes, Appicore Kinetic does really well. Appicore Kinetic does really well in the metal-centric processes. When you are going to have all of those product attributes, they need to be incorporated as part of your analysis, analytics, but they also need to be incorporated as part of your MRP planning. If you are going to have all of those use cases, Appicore Kinetic is much deeper in general for that. Appicore Kinetic also requires you to have formal engineering processes, meaning everything starts from your revision number, the way their bombs are designed. If you are not happy with that constraint, then Appicore Kinetic may not work for you. So some other strengths from the machinery manufacturing perspective, Appicore Kinetic is designed for very heavy engineering, metal-centric verticals, and that's where it is really strong from the machinery perspective as well. So that's number 2. Number 1 on our list is Infor Cloud Suite LN. And Infor Cloud Suite LN is much larger product compared to your Appicore Kinetic or Infor Cloud Suite Industrial Sightline. The financial layers, the global trade compliance layers that Infor Cloud Suite LN is going to have are much thicker. It is designed for that shared services business model if you need to implement all of those WBS-centric processes as part of your project manufacturing for machinery manufacturing. The way your planning processes are going to be, if you require end-to-end traceability of those planning processes, whether you are going to have that MRP workload that you need to do in your pre-sales processes, for that, Infor Cloud Suite LN does really well. Overall, some other strengths, you are going to find a lot more as part of the suite because you are going to have all of these integrations that are going to be very specific to your machinery manufacturing. For that, Infor Cloud Suite LN is going to be a great fit. Some limitations to keep in mind are going to be very similar to your Infor Cloud Suite LN perspective. It's the technology could feel a little legacy, even though they have come a long way overall in improving their UI. They are developing a lot of agentic capabilities as well. So those challenges may not be as relevant in the future. But today, when you look at the product, it's not as modern as some of the other products. From the technology perspective, ecosystem is also not as developed as some of the other vendors that we have on this list. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you enjoyed this video, we publish these videos on a weekly basis on our YouTube channel. So don't forget to hit subscribe. If you prefer audio form, it's also available on major audio as well as podcasting channels. Also, we are going to include a very detailed report. That's going to have much deeper analysis. So you might want to check that. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.